Alright, so here we've got a Silver Ana player. Let's see what you got, Zeno. Og Winston, interesting tank calm. It's okay though. Oh, boss behind you, boss behind you. Nice sleep. So little slow on the reaction time there. So one of the things I would recommend already, if you don't have, invest in a headset. You don't have to spend an absurd amount of money. Like they can get really, really expensive, but you don't have to spend a ton of money on them. But get a decent headset, because Overwatch has fantastic sound cues and very good directional sound. So right there, you heard the ball, or at least I could hear the ball before he started shooting. I could hear him rolling up on you. And that's a very, very important thing, is as you climb, you need to be able to recognize those sound cues. So, definitely, trying to get used to identifying those sound cues and reacting to those. That'll definitely help, as you go forward. And the other thing, too, is that you slept ball, and then you just left him back there, right? So, this is kind of why I think there's a ping system that's coming in Overwatch 2. I haven't played Overwatch 2. That'd be fantastic for this. But if not, you should be in voice chat. Be like, hey, ball's asleep behind, right? That way, like, you, Roadhog, and Reaper could just turn around and wreck his day, right? Roadhog can hook him. Reaper can just, like, double tap him. Like, you guys could have destroyed the ball. Right now, he's just chilling back there, and he's going to come back, and I bet you he's going to kill your Ash, right? You slept him and just left him there, did nothing about it. It was a good sleep, but you have to follow up on it. Yeah, see, there he is. Nice nade. Heal your Reaper, heal your Reaper. So, bit of a rough spot. So that was a good nade. You anteed the ball. Again, your team wasn't able to follow up on it, unfortunately. But and you kind of just stayed on point and stayed in the corner here. That's not a good spot to be in. Just because, like, you are wide out in the open, right? Everybody's fighting on point. You're Ana. Like, you're a little old grandma. You're squishy. You don't have to be on point. Let your Roadhog do it. Like, look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's huge, right? That's what he does. Same thing with your Winston. He's got shields and whatnot. What you could do is you could, like, hang out back here, right? You got a wall. You've got a health pack nearby. You know, or you can even go behind pillar right over here, right, as your team kind of pushes out, right? And you can use this pillar as cover. You can retreat through here. You know, you don't have to be right in the middle of the team fight, right? Take a step back and kind of play around here, right? Then when you have nade off cooldown, you know, you could do a little peek here to throw nade. All kinds of things that you can do, but I wouldn't recommend fighting on point here just because it's so open. Everybody's going to be fighting there, and you're just going to die very, very quick. And then, yeah, you know, you did say in your post that you have to work on your aim. That's one thing I would do so far, is I wouldn't say that should be your primary focus, but, you know, when you know, just a little thing that you can do is, when you start Overwatch, just before you jump into comp, before you jump into quick play, just take 5 or 10 minutes to go play some Ana paintball or some aim trainer or something like that, just to help work on your aim, and then learn the learn the quick scope. So learn the quick scope timing. So I can. Kind of show you. So, quick scope timing is this, right? So the idea is when you zoom in, the second you see that little triangle form, that's when you fire, right? Boom, so the triangle, boom, fired. Triangle, fired. Triangle, fired. And then in order to do it a second time, you have to wait until the reload animation fully stops, right? So, quick scope, if I try quick scope again, it won't work, right? Quick scope doesn't work. Right, I have to wait till the animation finishes, I can do it again. Zoom in, see the triangle, fire. Zoom in, see the triangle, fire. That is the timing. And so that's kind of one of the things that you can practice. And even like, just coming into the training room here, just to practice that for a couple of minutes before you get started every day, that's going to help. Right?
Traveling to Nepal. Ready for battle.
I wasn't cut out for it. Just a scratch, you'll be fine.
Sleeping well. Here, it's okay to call for healing. You know, okay, good, your BAP is healing. Don't be afraid to call for healing either, you know, because even for me, like as another support, like sometimes I get so tunnel visioned that I kind of miss things, right? So it happens all the time. Don't be afraid to call for healing. Right, and here, again, you're in a rough spot. Like you're standing out here, you're in the open. You know that the enemy team can come up here. Like you heard and you saw yourself getting shot from the ash up on high ground, excuse me. Like just play around this pillar. Like if you're gonna play out here, this is fine, but just keep this pillar in between you, right? This way, you know, sure you've got Diva over here and Mercy, but you can kind of like dip in behind here. It's You're kind of in a bit of a bad spot because the Ash is covering this entire sight lines, and then you've got their team pushing this sight line. So really, playing around the pillar would help, but you know when this happened, like when they started pushing in, if you were already out here, you could have pulled back into this room, right? It's a much more restrictive sight line, but at least it would have blocked you from the Ash, right? And you would have been able to play safer. Right, and then you would still be able to support your team, right? You could throw nade and like smash it off this wall here, and it would hit Mercy and Diva, and you know, you win easy. Right, so just remember as we're going through this to play safe, right? Always play around some kind of natural cover. Always play around a corner, whatever. Keep something between you and the enemy team so that you can retreat, you can protect yourself, you can play safe, you can retreat to a health pack, whatever you need to do, right? Don't be face tanking like this. You know, and if you were in a better position, you wouldn't have had to use your nade to heal yourself. You could have used it to anti the enemy team. And then, of course, you know, you wouldn't have died here. This death was just purely a suboptimal positioning death.
I wasn't cut out for retirement anyway. I will keep you here.
The other thing, I don't know if you know this, but the reason that you want a quick scope is because when you zoom in as Ana, your shots are hit scan, right? So they instantly hit the target. When you're no scoping, it's a projectile, so it has a fly speed. And the benefit to no scoping is that you have a faster fire rate, so you can heal more faster. So it's useful like when you're in the team fight and you need to shoot that Roadhog who is just absorbing damage, right? You can just sit there and spam him. Zooming in is useful when you're trying to hit a target that's far away or you absolutely need to hit those shots. That way you don't have to try and anticipate their movement, so you can hit them with the projectile that has a fly speed. And so that's why the downside to zooming in like that is when you're zoomed in, you no longer have any awareness of anything around you beyond what you can hear from the sound cues. So that's why quick scoping is so good, because it allows you to maintain awareness of what's around you while still benefiting from the hit scan. The hit scan targeting. Okay, so this is a little bit better positioning.
You're covered.
Yeah, so again, you're playing on point. I wouldn't really play here. If you're gonna play left side, like play around this corner here. Ideally, and the left side's a little bit rough. Honestly, when I'm here, I usually like to play around this pillar. Reason being is because, again, most of the time your team's either going to be fighting on point or near point, especially at this rank. So by playing on pillar here, you have something to block you from basically all angles of attack, and you can rotate around this thing and protect yourself from no matter what. Your team's always going to be close by to support you if you ever get into danger. And you're not out in the open.
Watching your back.
Deep Dart wasn't really needed there. This is bad. I know you're trying to heal your monkey there, but you went the wrong way, right? I know you're trying to get the angle on there to see him, but, you know, this is a reason to be in voice chat, right? Tell your Winston to drop down to come to you, right? Because you are squishy. You die very quickly, so if you're in a bad spot, even for an instant, you could very well die, right? You could very well just get one shot, one clipped, whatever, by an enemy DPS or an enemy tank. It's a lot easier for Winston to come to you than for you to try to go to Winston, right?
Hello. Thank you.
Sleep that Bob. The Bob. Sleep that Bob. Sleep that Bob. So again, you're getting caught in this weird position here. Again, I don't like this left side positioning, because you're out in the open, and it also just, it's a weird spot because you're out in the open, and it also has a very restrictive sight line, so you can't really, you don't have much to look at over here. Not the greatest spot to be.
Out of the fight.
Enemies returned.
You have nano now. Let's see how you use it. So right now, I see your monkey's low. Okay, your monkey moded. I was gonna say, with your monkey low, I would go around there and I would just hit him with nano, and just secure the point. But because he went into monkey mode, now you don't need to. With nano and monkey, when he goes monkey mode, his DPS actually drops. He doesn't do a lot of damage like this. His entire point of this ult is that he's able to knock enemies around. So you want to nano him when he is not ulting. That's when his DPS is highest. That's when he's his biggest threat. So another thing to keep in mind with nano is, like I said, so it also heals. So you don't necessarily have to combo it with some big damage ult. You can use it to save your teammates. You know, an example is I was playing a game, and this was at about 3700. I got nanoed as Zen, because what happened is I actually got punched by Doomfist, and that Ana was absolute god. Had the reaction time to turn, look at me, and nano me before I hit the wall and instantly died. And the reason that she nanoed me is because I had Transcendence and the enemy Genji had Blade. Right, and so they needed me to stay alive so I could counter Blade, because as soon as I died, if I would have died there, you know, the Genji would have ulted and they just killed our entire team. So it saved my team, saved me, saved the team fight. Anyway, point is, you can use nano to save your teammates. At this rank, it's probably not worth it to nano Zen, but you know, that's a thing you can do, is that you can use it to save teammates. It doesn't have to be comboed with some big, huge damage ult.
Into the iris.
And you need to throw out anti-nades. I haven't seen you toss a nade in a little while. When they were transing there, that would have been perfect. Or it would have been, I guess not perfect, so your team wouldn't have really been able to follow up on it, but it's satisfying. Especially because when they trans like that, before a team fight happens, they are trying to play aggressive. Right? So they trans and they use that massive AoE healing to push in hard and fast. If you anti-nade that, all of a sudden, the trans becomes useless because they can't benefit from the healing.
You're powered up. Get in there.
And yeah, right there you just needed a shield, but you know, that happens to everybody. I still do that times. They sleep. And that's why I like playing around that pillar. The bomb came, you're able to go around to the other side, you use your sleep to take care of the threat. Good. Hold on. So that was a good try on the nade. You were trying to hit the Rhine. That's what you want to do, right? If you manage to hit like a Reinhardt with your nade or the Diva, that's huge, right? That's what you want to do because they should very well die very quickly there because they can't get any healing, or at the very least, someone like Diva would have to retreat. You know, just got to make sure you hit those. Got to work on the aim a little bit. There are some custom games that can help you with your nade aiming. It's been a couple years for me, so I don't remember off the top of my head, but you can probably find something. Not sure, not too certain you could have saved your hog there if you hit your shots, but definitely could have kept him alive a little bit. Probably could have held on the point there. So the other thing too with scoping in, your sensitivity looks really, really high. Like it's very, very jerky. You know, I think you said your sense was at 100. That is stupidly high. But I guess it depends on how big your mouse pad is or how big the area you have to maneuver your mouse. You know, ideally you want as much room as possible. Just because it allows you for a lower sensitivity and a slower movement, which just allows you to be a little smoother, a little more consistent, and will allow you for more precise aiming than these little jerky flicks that you're doing. And the other thing too is when you're aiming down the sight, anybody in this triangle here, right, in this little triangle here, will get healing, right? So if Reaper, all you need to do is get him in this little triangle, and that's gonna heal him, right? It doesn't have to be right on your crosshairs, as long as So another thing I want to mention too to keep in mind is Ana. Is this might not matter at your rank, but as you climb, one of the things people are going to be looking for, they're going to be looking for your shots. So when you're no scoping, there is no trail for your shots, but when you're zoomed in, there becomes this little tracer on your shots that people can follow. Like they will see this little purple streak go across their screen. So when you're trying to hide or be sneaky, don't zoom in and shoot because the enemy team will be able to see where your shots are coming from and where they're going. Just no scope, because that way there's no way for them to see the shot. That was a... Yeah, so that was rough. Sleep Dart, again, you missed the Diva, but that's not an easy one to hit when she's boosting up like that, because you don't know how or where she is going to boost. And even if you do hit that, it's not easy for your team to kind of follow up on that, so that was a bit of a wasted Sleep Dart. And then your nade there was just a complete miss. Wasn't too sure what it was doing. And then yeah, you're getting caught in a bad position there, that's why you're getting shot. This is much better. Right? In a situation like this is where you want to be, right? That way you block the Ashe, you can still see your team, and then when your team starts to push in and push for point, then you can, you know, rotate around. You have this fondness for the left side, then you can rotate around here. But spend a lot of time standing out in the open and you're just getting shot. And you're lucky that this Ashe doesn't have the greatest aim. Let's just go. Yeah, you see, like, she's just body shot, body shot, body shot. By the time you hit gold, this Ashe is probably going to be hitting at least one headshot. Definitely by platinum, they're going to be double tapping you, and so you're just going to die for this, right? So you can see where the Ashe's sight lines are, so you can see that if you're kind of hugging this corner, she wouldn't be able to see you, she wouldn't be able to hit you. And the unfortunate thing is that with her up there, like, you don't have an easy, clean way out. So you would have either had to sit here and wait for this Ashe to move, or push in with your Rhine shielding you. You know, kind of hug this wall or something like that, or get underneath.
Ready for battle.
So But so far after the first round, yes, you do need to work on your aim, but you know, just do, like I said, take 5 or 10 minutes before you jump into comp, before you jump into quick play or whatever. Jump into Ana Paintball, jump into an aim trainer or something like that, and just take 5 or 10 minutes to kind of practice, and your aim will improve. It'll take some time, but if you do that 5 or 10 minutes before you play, it's gonna help, and you will notice improvement after probably a week or two. Um, it's important when you're practicing too. Don't go fast, right? Take your time and make sure that you're doing it correctly first. Speed will come, right? And same thing with your quick scopes. Like you can just go into the training room and like just practice the motion and the motion of quick scoping, so it becomes muscle memory. Um, but other than that, I think that you need to start focusing a little more on your positioning. Like I explained, what you want to do is you want to keep some kind of natural cover between you and the enemy line of fire, whether that's a corner of some kind, a pillar, a some kind of other map object that's indestructible that you use to block line of fire. Um, Other than that, your nade usage was not the greatest. 9 times out of 10, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking for uh, opportunities to deny the enemy team healing, to anti the enemy team. That is the best use of your anti-nade, or your bio-nade technically, but everyone calls it anti-nade for a reason. Um, there are a few situations where it's okay to use it to heal yourself or your teammates, but for the most part, you should be looking for opportunities to use it on the enemy team, because that's basically it's not an instant win, but it definitely is a much more efficient use of it for most cases. Your sleeps, you hit some good sleeps, like when the Hammond dove you, but there was no follow up on it. Whenever you sleep somebody, you should be in team chat saying, "Hey, somebody's sleeping right here by Anna. Like, come help me." Right, and your team should be able to, should be in a position to follow up on it and help you kill them. Um, the other thing that you can do is, if you are by yourself, the other thing that you can do, if you don't know, there is a combo. So
Never
if you
stop
sleep
fighting for
somebody,
what you believe in.
wait for it.
Healing in hand.
Oh, see, I fucked it.
Hands off.
So there is a combo where you sleep,
Go to sleep.
shoot nade, shoot punch. Right?
Back off.
Okay, so I might not have fucked it up. They just have a little higher health than I thought. Um, but it's shoot, nade, shoot, punch. So when somebody is sleeping, that's what you want to do. You wait until they begin their wake up animation.
Double kill.
Right, and that little combo there, that will basically, or it should, destroy anything that's under 200 health. Shoot nade, shoot punch. It has to be in very, very quick succession, and you want to wait until they begin their wake up animation. Because the animation, if they are waking up on their own, is slightly longer than if you shoot them and wake them up, if you damage them and wake them up. And it's enough, it's not very long, but it's long enough that it'll prevent somebody like Tracer from using recall right off the bat. Because when you're asleep, or at least if I get slept, no matter what hero I'm playing, I always have, and I'm pushing and holding whatever button my escape is. So if I'm Reaper, I'm holding left shift because that's my fade, or if I'm Moira, it's the same button. On the rare occasion that I'm playing Tracer, which is basically never or only in arcade, I am pressing E, holding E, just waiting to use recall. But that's another thing that you can practice. Shoot nade, shoot. That is the combo that will... it's not going to work on everything, but if you are by yourself, it is your best bet to secure the kill. But ideally, you should have help from your team. You should be calling for help from your team.
Ready for battle.
this is a much better position. It's a little hard because if your team is going to be pushing in, back here you have a limited sight line, but you can at least from here you can still see point, right? From here you can still throw a nade and like smash it off this pillar and hit anybody that's down here. From back here, the enemy team is going to have a much harder time reaching you. Like, you know, this ball should be turning around and shooting at you, not the Mei, because you're a much easier kill than Mei is, but I'm not going to complain. Sleep. That was good. Oh, you should have kept shooting him. You should have kept shooting him. They're in immortality field. They're not gonna die. That ball could have died. You antied him, which was good because he was being mercy pocketed. Your Ryan was right there, and sure, he was getting out, but you needed like maybe 2 more shots, and you could have killed him. Just keep shooting him. Like BAP's right there. They're in immortality. They're not gonna die. That's fine. You don't need to heal them. Kill the ball. Ball should not have gotten out there.
The objective is now
Where'd your nade go? Just sail over the wall? You're going for a walk around. Hey, you did not need to be up here. Like, honestly, playing up here is fine, right? If you want to play around this pillar, that's okay. People can come from up here, but then you can just, like, back down the stairs, back around this corner, or even in worst case scenario, back onto point where you'll be safe. So if you wanted to play up here, that's completely okay. You know, you can heal your team, you can be aggressive with your nades. This is okay, but you didn't need to do this little ring around the rosy all the way back around. Because again, you're now kind of just back out in the open again, being shot by a turret. I would have naded the ball there. Again, you're walking right past the ball, not even turning to look at him. So another thing too is that you're playing with Baptiste, who is another main healer, right? Which means that you don't need to be so focused on healing. You can be a little more focused on utility, right? You can be looking for other opportunities to help do damage or to help nade things. So right there, you know, your Reinhardt was being pocketed by Baptiste. You absolutely could have turned to just pump some more shots into that ball and helped kill him. You didn't need to be doing this. Baptiste was here. Baptiste was healing. This was all. Don't take that duel. See, I'm okay with that nade because you're healing yourself. You're almost dead. This is a better spot to be in. Sim ult was absolutely not needed. See how you use Nano. When you're trying to sleep ball, wait until he slams. So there's 2 times that you can do it. When you're this close, you can throw it when he's at the peak of his trajectory, because he's going to stop there for a brief instant. Your sleep dart does have hang time, so you have to predict that just a little bit, and that makes it a little tougher. So it's the easiest when he slams down, because when he slams down, he's going to be there for almost a full second, not moving. And so that's the easiest time to hit him, is when he slams down. Yes, he's going to be doing some damage, and he might kill somebody, which is the unfortunate thing, but as you get better with your aim, then you can hit him up in the air. But for right now, like, go for the easy ones, right? Make it easy on yourself.
You're going to be okay. It's just a scratch. You'll be fine.
Enemy turret ahead. Looks dangerous.
Holding on to Nano for an awfully long time.
You're powered up. Get in there.
I know you said you did this by accident, but honestly, Nano Sim is not terrible, especially if she has a fully charged beam. You can do a terrifying amount of damage. Again, you know, you went for a very, very low percentage shot on the ball there, and then they tossed Bob, right? You should have waited there until ball slammed, and by the time ball slammed, you would have known that Bob was coming onto point, so you could have slept Bob, and that's just a much more valuable use of sleep dart than trying to sleep the ball in that case. So that's another thing that you can start working on. It's a little tough, and it's something that you're going to need to do if you want to climb, but you need to start tracking ultimates. Keeping in mind who has ults on the enemy team. The rule of thumb that you can use is that every 2 team fights, everybody should build their ult. Right? It's not always the case. A lot of people can build their ults a lot faster than that, but that's a general rule of thumb you can use. And so if you know Ashe has ult, you'd want to save sleep for Bob, right? Because it's a good use of sleep. Completely disable Bob for a couple of seconds. Sleep the D.Va here. Generally speaking, when you get dove like that, sleep should be your first response. Because you can, like, smashing your nade on your feet will heal you, but against somebody like, you know, if that D.Va had proper aim, she could have just deleted you so quickly. When you get dove there, sleep should be your first response. Because it completely disables them. Then you can safely fall back a little bit, heal yourself, and have your team help you follow up. Here, I would nade yourselves. Now you're on. Now you're on. Just give it to him. Yeah, nice. It's okay. Now, right here. So you naded yourself there, but like what I would be doing right now is as soon as nade came off cooldown, I would be looking to where the enemy team was to nade them, because you have Nano Ryan up there just smashing things to bits. So again, going back to what I said earlier, that you want to use your nade most of the time to deny the enemy team healing, that's what I'd be doing there, especially with a Nano Ryan, because you want things to die as quickly as possible. So I'd be looking for opportunities to support him, and if you throw it at your Ryan, even when he's up close and personal, you might actually get the added benefit of hitting your Ryan with healing as well. The same thing, your positioning is a little bit risky. So honestly, from a macro point of view, your positioning is a little bit risky. I think that, at least in my opinion, the first thing that a lot of low-ranking players, like gold and below, the first thing that they need to do, the first thing that they need to look at is their positioning. And especially as support players, you're the kind of the building blocks of your team. Everyone builds up and out from. So you need to keep yourself alive first and foremost. And so as a silver player, what you need to do is you need to keep yourself safe. So you need to, like I said, play around corners, play around some kind of natural cover, and look for a position that's going to keep you safe and be difficult and make it difficult for the enemy team to try and pressure you, to try and kill you. And then once you have mastered the art of not dying, then you can start to play a little more aggressively, kind of like what you're doing here, and look for other opportunities to utilize the kit available to you. But until then, I think primarily you need to start focusing on playing somewhere to keep yourself safe. So here, a very common spot for Ana to play. So another thing that you have to look at too is not just keeping yourself safe, but also in a position where you can see the entire map. Ana's a long-range hero, a mid to long-range hero, and she thrives kind of at that mid to long range. Right here, very close quarters, you're not going to be doing much. So a common spot for Ana to play is right here, right around this corner, because here you can see everything, right? You see your team pushing in. You can see the entirety of point. You have a good long sight line to see if somebody is coming down here. You have a corner to play around. You have a health pack right here to heal yourself up. Like, this is where you want to be as Ana. Like, this is your top tier positioning for Ana on this map specifically. Right? Again, another sleep and no follow-up at all. And now you're playing in front of your Reinhardt. This is really bad. So, again, you don't have to follow your Reinhardt. You don't have to be staring at your Reinhardt's ass at all times. If you want to do this, play Moira. If you want to do this, yeah, like I said, if you want to do this, play Moira. Absolutely never walk in front of your Ryan's shield. Never. Not once. Doesn't matter. Don't care. You can shoot through your Ryan's shield. If your Ryan's at full health, you can actually shoot through your Reinhardt. Right? Your ammo is piercing for full health teammates. There is zero reason for you to be this close to the fight. If you're gonna be following your Ryan, like, be back here, right? Use this as cover. You know Torb is sleeping behind you, so kind of use this as cover and wait for this. And again, you slept him. No follow up. Like, your Reaper is just, oh god, Reaper's looking this way. He's going to point his, and there's a Torb right here. Reaper can, with his armor, I think it's like 3 hits to kill Torb, but anyway, you're way too up close and personal even. You should absolutely not be this close, and you are in front of your tanks. You are not a tank. Help your Ryan. Help. Stay with your Ryan. You could have antied or slept D.Va there and secured that kill. Go hang out with your Widow. That's where you want to be. Oh yeah, you could have saved your Reaper there. So yeah, another reason that you could have been over here. You would have still been able to hit Reaper in the corner, right? You would have had a better angle to hit your nade on that D.Va. You know, sure, you wouldn't be able to see your Winston or your Ryan, but they just need to come back just a or your nade. So another thing that you can do is go into quick play, and one of the things that you can practice is throwing your nade. And when you're in quick play, like, just throw it on cooldown, right? As soon as your nade comes off cooldown, just throw it, right? If you can see an enemy team, throw it and try to hit them. Throw it above a shield, try to smash it against a wall so it smashes down behind them or on top of them to go over and around shields. Like, as soon as it comes off cooldown, throw it, right? Because right now you're kind of hanging on to your abilities a little bit too long. Now, in comp games, you don't want to throw those out off cooldown, but you can do that in quick play just to kind of practice, get a feel for the flight times, its trajectory, things that you can smash it off of to try and hit enemy teammates above or around shields or around cover. But, you know, you're... As a support, you are a support character, you are not a healer, right? You are not a mobile health pack. You have other utility. Right now, you're not using much of your utility, right? You have your anti-nade, which can deny the enemy team healing, which you are barely using, which means that you're not utilizing all of what Ana can do. And right here, oh god, this was horrible. As soon as you see that hog walking, like, you should run. Hog is a mortal enemy of this poor little old grandma. Like, go, like, retreat this way towards your Reaper, you know. Don't go forwards to point, because this hog should have just hooked you and killed you immediately, unless his hook was off cooldown. But even then, as Roadhog, I would sit here and wait, and I would push right after you, because the enemy team doesn't really seem to be looking at them whatsoever. But also, Ana's also the mortal enemy of Hog, because if you anti him, Hog is useless. He can't heal himself, he can't get healed, and he is just 600 points of ult charge for your team. Now you're walking right into a Brig. Like,
No one can hide from my sight.
You literally just walked into an enemy Brig. Like, you walked up to her, said hi, kissed her on the cheek, and then walked past her.
My team needs me.
I'd say that's an awareness thing, but you looked right at her. There's no way you didn't see her there. I, I, I got nothing for that one. That's just,
Take your medicine.
not paying attention. Again, out in the open. I don't like this. Because, again, you're out in the open. Enemy hit scan, like you've seen your Widow. They love to hang out here. Look at that. If there was an Ashe here, or a Widow, or a Hanzo, or a McCree, or, sorry, Cassidy, or anybody, really, you are dead. You are wide out in the open. Oh boy, no, my dude. Can't shoot through walls or windows. So, another thing, this is a silver thing, this is kind of a gameplay thing, you should not be holding point, right? Your teammates up here, like your Winston, your Bap, your Reaper, they are in the right spot. Like, this is where you want to be holding on this point, right? This is a narrow choke, and it's easy to hold. Point is very difficult to hold here, if you give them all that space, because it's all kinds of unnecessary space that you're giving them, trying to hold on point. But that's again not a thing, not a you thing. That's kind of a team thing. And it's a very common silver problem where you think you need to hold point. You don't. You need to hold where it is the best defensive position to hold, which is not right on point. Most of the time, it's not.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Good nano.
Taking damage. Hostiles down. Enemy turret destroyed.
Victory.
Okay, so after all that, the biggest thing that I'm noticing is your positioning. Your positioning's bad, like straight up. You need to be in positions where you're not in the open, right? You don't need to be in the middle of the team fight. You can take a couple steps back from everything, right? Anna's a mid to long range hero. That's where she thrives, right? So take a step back. Find a spot that has some decent cover. Like I said, play around a corner, a pillar, a vehicle, like anything that's part of the map that's indestructible that you can use as protection. Ideally, a spot where you have a quick retreat, access to a health pack, or in a spot where your team can very quickly and easily support you if you get jumped on or dove or whatever. The second thing that you need to consider is that you not only need to be a little farther back, but you need to have sight lines of the entire map. There were a lot of times there where you're in these really close corridors and the only thing you could see is your Ryan's ass and nothing else, which makes it very, very difficult for you to do all the things that Ana should be doing, which is basically anteing the enemy team. And so that's the third thing, is that you need to start looking for opportunities, which it will help when you're in a better position, but you need to look for opportunities to use your nade to ante the enemy team. Yeah, I'd start with those three things. And like I said, just take some time before you play every day. Like I said, 5 or 10 minutes just to kind of work on your aim a little bit. There were a couple of times that you absolutely could have saved teammates if you hit your shots. Part of the reason is I think your sensitivity is way too high. Your movements look really, really jerky. But that's entirely a comfort thing. It's dependent on what you have available to you, right? If you have a small desk, you don't have the room to lower your sensitivity. But I would say lower it a little bit and then just lower little bits at a time and practice. So for example, for me, for Ana, my sensitivity is at 5 and my mouse DPI is at 800. So that means my eDPI is at what would that be? 400 eDPI. And you said yours is at 100. So I'm guessing you mean that your mouse sensitivity here is at 100. And what you can do is you can Google whatever the sensitivity is for whatever mouse you have to figure out what's called your eDPI. So like I said, mine's at 400, I think, if I remember correctly. And that's about average, right? I think that's on the bit of a higher end actually of average, exactly for players. But just to give you an idea of kind of what I'm running with, again, it's purely a personal preference thing, but it definitely looks like your sensitivity is a little bit high, and that might help with your aim in the long run. But yeah, like I said, focus on your positioning first. Practice your aim a little bit every day before you jump into competitive, and look for more opportunities to use your anti-nade. Those are kind of the big three things that if you start to work on those, then you're going to climb.